In a fiery and uncompromising address that has sent shockwaves across diplomatic circles, Burkina Faso's leader, Ibrahim Traoré, issued a powerful warning to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu while delivering one of his boldest pro-Africa messages yet. In the statement charged with defiance, moral conviction, and a sweeping call for global accountability, Traoré praised Africa's rising consciousness and condemned what he described as Western double standards, oppression, and attempts to silence the global South. His message, delivered with prophetic intensity, positioned Africa as a continent awakening to its full strength and refusing to bow to external pressure. Here's Traoré's message.
I speak today with a clarity that cannot be misunderstood and with a conviction that carries the weight of every African who has risen, struggled, resisted, and refused to bow. My words are directed to those who believe power gives them the right to silence others, and to those who think the suffering of a people is something to negotiate. And yes, Benjamin Netanyahu, these words reach you clearly because the world is already listening. Africa is listening. Humanity is listening. For too long, certain leaders have acted as though their decisions exist outside morality, as though the cries of innocent people evaporate into the air without consequence. But understand this. The era when powerful nations and their allies acted without accountability is closing. A new era is emerging, one where the oppressed speak without fear and where the global South refuses to be intimidated. You may have weapons, armies, propaganda machines, and global influence, but none of these can erase truth. None of these can suppress justice. I say this without hesitation. The indiscriminate suffering of ordinary people must end. No justification can cover it. No historical argument can excuse it. No political strategy can sanitize it. When children cry, when mothers bury their sons, when civilians run from their own homes with nothing but their names and hopes, the world cannot pretend not to see. And Africa will not pretend not to see. Those days are gone. To Benjamin Netanyahu, hear me clearly, power does not make you right, and military force does not make you victorious. History is filled with leaders who believed themselves untouchable until the weight of their actions caught up with them. You cannot bomb your way into safety, you cannot bulldoze your way into peace, and you cannot silence a people into non-existence. Aggression may buy time, but it never buys legitimacy. Africa stands today with a renewed spirit, a spirit that has risen from centuries of exploitation, manipulation, and deliberate weakening by those who believed the continent would remain silent forever. We are not silent. Every African nation, whether Francophone, Anglophone, Lusophone, or Arabophone, understands the language of resistance because resistance built us. We know what it means to be undermined. We know what it means to be pushed to the margins of global importance, and because we know, we refuse to watch injustices unfold without speaking. This continent, the cradle of humanity, has discovered its own voice again, and this voice does not tremble. It does not apologize for demanding dignity. It does not negotiate for respect. Africa will not be used as a pawn in global games of influence. Africa will not allow foreign powers to decide its alliances, its ideologies, or its loyalties. We will stand with truth, even when truth is inconvenient to the powerful. To the Western nations who believe Africa will forever accept instructions and threats, let this be understood. The chains you used before have rusted beyond repair. Economic pressure will not make us abandon our principles. Diplomatic intimidation will not silence our stance. Media narratives will not erase our perspective. Africa is no longer bending to narratives designed in foreign capitals. The continent is thinking for itself, choosing for itself, and speaking for itself. I praise Africa not out of romanticism, but out of recognition of its awakening, of its unity building slowly but steadily, of its refusal to watch history repeat itself. Across the continent, youth are rising, not with weapons, but with consciousness. They are asking questions, demanding accountability, rejecting manipulation, and refusing to be blinded by propaganda. Their awareness is Africa's greatest power. Their courage is Africa's greatest shield. And to those who sit in Western capitals, observing Africa with suspicion and fear, I say, you fear the very thing you tried to prevent: the awakening of a continent rich in resources, rich in spirit. rich in identity and rich in its capacity to lead itself. You fear Africa not because it seeks domination, but because it seeks independence, the kind of independence that breaks your economic grip, the kind of independence that dismantles your influence, the kind that exposes the truth about centuries of exploitation disguised as partnership. I will not soften my tone because the world does not change through whispers. The world changes when people speak without fear. Africa is speaking without fear. We see the double standards. We see the selective outrage. We see the silence of those who preach human rights but turn away when those rights are violated by their allies. We see the loud condemnation when African nations defend themselves, and the quiet tolerance when powerful states commit acts they would never accept from others. This hypocrisy is no longer invisible. It is obvious, loud, and globally recognized. Let it be known today that Africa demands justice not only for itself, but for all people who suffer oppression regardless of continent, religion, or ethnicity. Our stance is not against any people, it is against injustice. Our voice is not raised for conflict, it is raised for dignity. And if speaking truth unsettles the comfortable, then let them be unsettled. Benjamin Netanyahu, the world is shifting. The voices you ignore today will become the judgment you face tomorrow. No leader escapes the verdict of history, and history is already writing its pages. It rewards courage, condemns oppression, and remembers everything. You can choose humanity today, or you can face the consequences of ignoring it. The choice is yours, but the world is watching. Africa has chosen its path, a path of sovereignty, clarity, and dignity. And from this path, we will not step back, not for pressure, not for intimidation, and not for fear. The continent stands firm. This is not a warning made in anger, it is a warning made in truth. And truth once spoken does not return empty.